injured your calf. I know you worked your butt off to get to this point, but did you ever think you'd be this good?
Is that a real question? Of course. I mean,
Yeah.
what you want me to say to that? Of course I did.
It's pretty impressive what you've been able to do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But, I mean, that was 2 years ago. I'm looking forward to just getting up tomorrow and going to practice, watching film, and seeing how we can get better. But, I appreciate that. But, that was too long ago.
All right, well, I'll come up with some more real questions for you next time. Thanks, Kevin. Mark?
You can feel the emotion. Shannon, do you like or not like his reaction?
I love his reaction. I mean, like Katie say, what do you want me to say to that? Skip, every athlete believe they're going to come back from an injury. You don't think Tom Brady thought he was going to come back and be Tom Brady from that torn ACL? Skip, Alex Smith had 100 surgeries on his legs, and he still believed he was going to come back and quarterback start in the NFL. That's part of it. That's what sets them apart from everybody, is the confidence level. There's a lot of people that have ability in a said field, but the thing that separates the greats from is their mind, the thought process, that I believe I'm supremely better than the man across from me. Not that I'm a better person, but I'm better at what I do than what you do. You got to have that belief, Skip. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. Everybody that makes it to the NBA, Skip, is talented. You don't get to that level without being talented. Yes, some has more talent than others, but some also have more confidence than others. And Kevin Durant, hell, I was great. So why wouldn't, if the doctors tell me, KD, you put the time in, you're going to come back, you're going to be your old self, why wouldn't I be my old self? I can, Skip, because KD is not a leaper. KD doesn't rely on athleticism. Is he athletic? Sure. But athleticism is not his soul, is not how he does everything. He can still shoot the three. That didn't go. He can get mid-range and pull up. You foul him. He make 90% of his free throws. So he was a guy that wasn't going to be impacted. It's not like a big guy, Skip. A guy like a Shaq, somebody like that, that would impact him. But KD, in his skill set, that injury wasn't going to have the same impact. So for me, I love what KD said. I love the straight. He's like, is that a real question? Of course I did. I put the work in. Did you see what I was before I left? I expected to pick right up, even though it's like you mentioned, 2 years, but I expected to pick right up where I left off and be historically great again. So I got no problem with what KD said, and I expected him to be what he is. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I don't know if we'll ever see that again. I don't know if we'll ever see a guy his size with his skill set, Skip.
Best player on the planet?
I thought Dirk, Skip, when Dirk came out 7 foot tall shooting the ball like that, I'm like, we ain't gonna never see that again.
So you just conceded best player on the planet, right?
I conceded that Kevin Durant is a unique individual.
Okay.
And the likelihood of you seeing someone 7 foot tall that can handle and shoot the ball like KD is unlikely. You're probably not gonna see it again.
Which is why back in my days on Cold Pizza, when Kevin was a freshman at the University of Texas, I predicted he would win multiple NBA scoring titles, and I got laughed at for a while, just for a while. Now, back to this question at hand. Did I like or not like his response? I did not like the first line that came out of his mouth. Is that a real question? No, that's not the right response to that question.
What would you have him say?
But I loved what he said thereafter, because he caught himself. He did not, so to speak, hit send after that, because it might not have been the greatest question in the world, but it was a very positive question, because the question was almost a softball for Kevin to knock out of the park. Did you ever think 2 years ago, he didn't go to tore your Achilles, but he tore his Achilles tendon. And and I know that can hamper you the rest of your career, especially if you tear it in your early 30s when you're not the youngest of man, right? And from that point forward, that 2 year period, he not only came back full force, it feels like he took it up a level, right? Well, that's extraordinary. And it speaks well to the surgeon who reattached the Achilles, and it speaks very well of Kevin for doing the work.
Let me ask you a question. Is Kevin Durant playing better right now than he did in his first finals, NBA Finals, when he averaged 35, 8, and 9? Is he playing better right now than when he played right then?
He looks, to my eye, even more efficient than he was then. As a shooter, he looks even more confident on an every shot basis. Every time he goes up, I think it's in. I've never seen him play with this extraordinary confidence. And I know he's got his little sidekick alongside, but he's the driving force of this team, just as he was of the Golden State Warriors in those back-to-back finals.
Yeah.
When he went into LeBron's house and he just shot it right in LeBron's face. Both times he made two huge shots.
Wait, the second one was not on LeBron.
Well, the one that changed the first finals was right in LeBron's grill.
He made a great shot.
And back-to-back finals MVPs.
Yes.
So my point is that it was a very positive question that he was asked, and to insult the questioner by saying, is that a real question? That's not the way you need to answer that.
But Skip, he was like, well, Kevin Larry said, so what do you want me to say to that, Skip? Every athlete, Skip, even if you don't, every athlete, in order for him to remain positive, is that I'm going to be what I was pre-injury.
But yes, it's a real question that you don't know for sure. And you could say, yeah, maybe there was a moment when I had doubts right after I tore it completely. But then I began to work and I began to say, I'm going to do this. There's a way to answer that question very positively, just as it was asked positively.
Skip, if Kevin Durant weighed 275, I would have had my doubts. If Kevin Durant was 300. But because Kevin Durant is so thin and athleticism...
Well, he could have gained weight because he couldn't do anything.
Kevin Durant ain't ever going to gain weight.
Want to bet?
Kevin Durant, Skip, you see that frame? Kevin Durant going to be like Kareem. Kevin Durant's going to be like Mr. Russell, Bill Russell. You see that frames? Skip, some people...
I don't know. Maybe. I've seen others.
Skip, you see that, Skip? Look at them joints.
Yep.
He ain't going to gain no weight, Skip.
Well, you know and I know what happens once you stop.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the point is, I thought it was a moment of growth for Kevin just to stop himself cold. He didn't jump over the cliff. He caught himself for a moment and said, okay, don't go there. Because I remind you, remember what he did to Charles Barkley?
Right.
Not that long ago. When
he silenced him. He iced him out.
In fact, I think we might have that.
Just
to remind everybody how awkward this got off the Barkley question.
You know, Kevin, there was talk about you coming back for the playoffs last year. So you really just been working on your game, trying to get back your timing and conditioning, really, to be honest, correct?
Yeah.
There was so much energy in there, wasn't it? He was excited to pump in.
That was it. And he left Charles hanging. And it wasn't the classiest way to answer the question.
Right.
And we've seen repeated misbehavior by Kevin on social media with burner accounts and the Rappaport feud that he got into.
Right.
And we've seen one thing after another where you say, oh, come on, you're better than that, right? You're the thinnest skinned superstar.
Well, I think sometimes, Skip, is that they feel that Charles makes it personal and doesn't be about basketball.
Okay.
And Charles
and remember, Kyrie had been anti-media, and the panel had been all over Kyrie. Remember when he called the media pawns?
Right, yeah.
Okay. So there was already some bad blood operating there. But I saw Kevin finally say, okay, snap out of it, go forward with this. And even in the end, Jared Greenberg says, next time I'll think of a better question, a more real question.
Right.
And Kevin just chuckled and said,
it's all love, bro.
Love. Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's growth. That's growing up right before your very eyes, because I do think he's the best player on the planet, and he needs to act like it on and off the court because he is highly capable. His heart, to me, has always been in the right place.
Yeah.
I agree. The end of the interview was much better than how it started.
Yeah.
I think it was really just a lot of pain. When you look at the last 2 years and when he was dealing with that injury, it obviously brings up some tough times. Like he's past it and he